Hoosiers is a bad movie. I've seen this movie at least a half dozen times because I had the privilege of growing up in the crossroads of America. And after all that teasing about being in band or the musicals or being a budding weeb, I've found my revenge. A sports anime that's better than your beloved basketball movie. That's what 16-year-old me would have said. Adult me just wants to talk about Haikyuu and why it's good. And maybe convince you to hate watch Hoosiers. And I know what you're thinking. For the Hoosiers fans, you're wondering how I can compare an anime about volleyball to a masterpiece of basketball cinema. And for the anime fans, you're wondering why I didn't pick Kuroko's basketball. It's because Haikyuu and Hoosiers touch on the same situation in vastly different places and times. Hoosiers opens on 1951 Hickory, Indiana, a very rural town where the beloved basketball coach has recently passed away. The principal brings in an old friend of his from Ithaca, New York, in the hopes that he will be able to restore the basketball team to their former glory. Hickory's not too fond of outsiders, and they're not a big fan of his newfangled coaching methods either. The anime Haikyuu has the same podunk feel, but it's from the perspective of two volleyball-obsessed freshmen. Their desire to attend Karasuno High School is the same. The volleyball team there was a former national champion. Except the crows have fallen from grace by the time Hinata and Kageyama get there. The funding is gone, there's barely enough players to form a team, and they don't even have a proper coach. Both of these stories are about teamwork, rebuilding a team and a town's faith in that team, and fighting tooth and nail to get back to the championship. But they make drastically different points about how to achieve those things. Starting with teamwork. It's no secret that Coach Norman Dale believes in teamwork. On his very first day, he slaps the idea of needing a star player right in the face.
I don't know why you're going on so about this kid being irreplaceable. It's my experience that nobody's irreplaceable.
And he proves that belief by ejecting 2 players just for talking over him. And it's followed by a montage showing some serious training on how to handle some balls.
That's what she said.
That's my joke. Damn it, Dwight.
He's not a complete jerk, though. When the assembly demands that the former star player, Jimmy, be forced to play, he berates them for disrespecting the students that chose to play. And he encourages their equipment manager, a short king, to play with the same zeal as the others. Speaking of short kings, Haikyuu has one of those too. Let's meet him. Hinata's character arc is basically how he can use his size, athleticism, and love of volleyball to overcome the taller and more experienced players. Our other protagonist, Kageyama, has more in common with Coach Dale. He is a gifted player, and he knows it. His nickname, the King of the Court, isn't about his skill though. He's King of the Court because he's a jackass to his teammates, which makes these two mix like oil and water. When they meet their team's upperclassmen, it's a good lesson in teamwork. Karasuno's team captain won't let them join until they figure out how to get along. And their general lack of experience is an excuse to help the audience know what the heck is going on. They explain things like rules, positioning, moves, and then they show us what those are. Which is another reason Hoosiers irritates the hell out of me. It assumes you already know the lingo, like you're also one of the Hickory townsfolk, foaming at the mouth about basketball. Like, what the hell is he talking about?
Tell me, do you believe in man-to-man or zone defense?
Ironic given what they actually show us of playing basketball. Like, dude, this guy is also open and closer to the basket. And what is this line? Is this marching band? So Hoosiers doesn't tell you how the game works, and it doesn't show you either. Oh, and anyone that isn't familiar with Indiana will probably ask, what's a Hoosier? At least Haikyuu's title tells you exactly what you're getting. It literally means volleyball. But to be fair, I'll set aside teamwork and game mechanics, because Haikyuu kicks Hoosiers' butt at community building too. You can tell I don't really hide my indifference to sports, but the film nails the mentality of small-town Indiana.
You know, a basketball hero around here is treated like a god.
So when Coach Dale abruptly and quickly ends the initial meet and greet with these basketball zealots, it's not really a reassuring measure. And when you get to know one of these aging basketball gods turned town drunk, Shooter, we learn there's more to him than Hickory gives him credit for. The coach convinces him to sober up and he becomes an assistant coach, And that doesn't last very long because addiction is a bitch, and success isn't linear. Which is to say, "Why are you waterboarding Shooter, coach?" is the only way to make a former basketball god feel valuable again, to have him smith new gods and steal a bit of their proverbial thunder. Haikyuu doesn't indulge in that kind of daydreaming. Sure, Hinata is inspired by another Karasuno short king gone pro, the Little Giant, but many of the players are just doing it for the love of the game. There's even a subplot that drives them to work on their grades, because without them they can't play. And speaking of grades, their teacher/team sponsor does it for the love of his students, which is why he seeks out a proper coach and calls on favors around the community. The neighborhood volleyball enthusiast he finds to scrimmage with his students also have day jobs, and their eventual coach was hesitant at first, both because he runs a local store and he has some baggage about the sport himself. And while Hickory can be seen chomping at the bit at every game, it takes time for Karasuno's fans to fill the stands. Their opposing teams are the ones that take the reins of sportsmanship instead, nurturing healthy, and maybe not so healthy, rivalries. Which leads me to the worst part of Hoosiers, Coach Dale's backstory. He's already been kind of a dick at this point in the movie, so when we find out the reason he hasn't coached in 12 years is because he hit a student and was disqualified by the NCAA, it's kind of hard to root for him. Why didn't he just pull a Bobby Knight and throw a chair?
Bobby Knight!
The kids of Haikyuu may piss each other off, but the show is ultimately centered on trying to support these kids as they try to fly higher and higher, through victory and the sting of defeat. Not, adults punching kids. And the message of Hoosiers becomes even muddier after the superstar Jimmy decides he wants to play ball after all. Jimmy's decision to come back to the team has 3 problems. It's not clear what motivated it. It completely negates the reveal of Coach Dale beating some kids, and his joining enables their road to the championship, but destroys any lofty ideas they had about teamwork. Though, admittedly, once they get to the championship, it's the Huskers' teamwork that leads them to victory. Just kidding, it's Jimmy that overcomes the opposing defense for the win. Maybe having a star player in basketball isn't crazy.
Basketball, in contrast to football, is a strong link sport. You make your team better by upgrading your best player.
I think Haikyuu is the opposite, and it falls into Gladwell's research on football. On the way to the top, it's teamwork that will get them there. There is a long story set up for Hinata and Kageyama's power combo, but each character has their own chance to shine. You'd be hard-pressed to convince me that they aren't a supportive team when their best play is a full rush on the court, where only one of them is going to hit the ball, and the rest of them have to trust whoever that is to hit it. A kind of The Usual Suspects, but for volleyball. And yet, one of their key victories comes from when Glasses here gets a burr up his ass, and gives an opportunity for everyone to do that mad rush forward. The coach lets him know it too. Despite all the teamwork and the collaboration that got him there, that final point was because of him, which can be how real life is. The team keeps you in the game long enough for you to take advantage of that final opening. But what's important to remember is that the team is what got you there. But Hoosiers? Outside of Jimmy, I can't remember anyone else. Oh, except Raid. How do you forget a name like Raid? He's that one, right? No, he's that one. If sports media isn't really your thing, how about historical fiction? Fantasy? Tragic romance? Leave a comment if you have something in mind, and maybe subscribe so you don't miss out on whatever I cover next. And I'm sorry I poo-pooed a favorite basketball movie. As a consolation prize, you can watch the boys of Haikyuu battle their way to the national championship on Crunchyroll. And if you want to hate watch or regular watch Hoosiers, you can do that on HBO Max. So if Michael Jordan was 6'6" and could jump 43 inches, and Hinata is 5'4" and a good professional volleyball jump is 35 inches, that means Hinata would still need to stand on 2 basketballs.